Yep, hi. I've been called to a 40-year-old male that has had a 6-meter fall from a roof, landing on his head. GCS initially he was combative, and currently now GCS of 3. We've loaded the patient onto the ambulance, back of the ambulance, and have done a primary survey. Found that the patient's heart rate is 50, blood pressure is 160, 90. Breathing, auscultated. There is bilateral air entry on both sides. However, the patient is breathing irregularly at a rate of 12. Blood sugar 7.6, temp 37. And so from our primary survey, we've realized that our main concern is that the patient has a traumatic brain injury. He has a GCS of 3. And we're going down the track that we need to get an RSI trained ICP at scene. So I've just now called for an ICP backup. The ICP RSI trained has confirmed that he's going to be here in 10 minutes and asked that I would just prep the patient ready for RSI. So I'm going to be then taking out my checklist and going through each step for preparing a patient for RSI. First of all, I'm going to be attaching a nasal prong to my patient. However, not attaching it to the oxygen, just having it ready there for for later on when we're RSI. Next, I'm going to pre-oxygenate my patient with a non-rebreather mask, and because my patient is maintaining his own airway, I'm not going to put any adjuncts into the patient and not needing to bag mask him, but he does need to be oxygenated for 10 minutes prior to RSI. So I've attached my non-rebreather, turned it up to 10 liters per minute, and he's oxygenating. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my ECG, blood pressure. So attaching my ECG, I am looking if there's any dysrhythmias linked with even the TBI, or possibly that there wasn't a cardiac event even prior to the fall off the roof. So I've attached my ECGs, I've touched my blood pressure, and I'm also touching my SAT monitor so that I can be checking, making sure that my patient is getting enough perfusion. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare my capnography. I've attached it onto my monitor, and I'm not going to attach it at this time onto my bag mask, as I've got my bag mask set up with my PEEP valve ready for just to do manual ventilations if required. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to position the monitor so that it can be seen. Obviously we're in the back of the truck, so our monitor is attached on the wall, but that way it can be seen by both the ICP as well as myself, as we can see changes, particularly in the capnography. I'm going to gain IV access. Ideally, it's bilaterally in both ACS and a large bore. Probably try to get a 14 gauge, 16 gauge in, and bilaterally so that we can get quick fluids in if required. I'm going to then, once I've got my IV access, I am going to then run some sodium chloride, 9% liter at high flow, and I'm going to get that running, that attached onto my IV. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to position the patient for optimal airway control. Obviously the ideal is that we've got our patient so his airway is not obstructed, so we want to have it cautious, because I realize that the C-spine has not been cleared because it's not our main priority. So I do want to get my patient so he's got his head tipped back a little bit, so we've got no obstruction there. I potentially could put either a towel under his head, or even roll up a towel and put it underneath his neck, or even under the shoulders, if depending on the patient and the size and the neck of the patient. The idea is that we've got our airway clear, we've got the head tipped back. So next we're going to do is we're going to place an ETT holder with the strap undone under the patient's head. So this is getting ready for once the patient has been intubated. So I just place it under, strap under, so it's ready to go for attaching our APT tube. Next we're going to do is ensure suction is working. I have done it before. It's on our wall. I've checked it. It's working, and it's ready to go in case we do need to suction our patient. Next we're going to do prepare a manual ventilation bag with PEEP, which I've already done, and we've got our PEEP set on 5 at this time for TBI. Obviously, if later we need to change it, we can change it forward if we had if required. And it's ready for me to just attach my capnography. Again, I'm going to just want to take it, once we've got these set up, I want to get another full set of vitals and also do another secondary, make sure that there's been no changes, looking particularly like if the abdo is soft, if it's not swelling, looking for other maybe pelvic fractures, other things where we might see that there's any bleeding, uncontrolled bleeds that need to be controlled. Then I would just get in touch with my ICP, giving them an update, get an estimated time of arrival, and just update him where the patient's at, last set of vitals, that he's ready for RSI, and that everything's good. And if there's anything else he wants me to do. He may possibly want me already, if possible, to already start drying up some of the drugs, like the fentanyl, for when he arrives, just to get things ready. I'd also just make sure I've got plenty of room, things cleaned up around the truck, so that, because obviously as ICP comes, he needs space there at the head of the patient, but also just around the patient, everything is cleared up as possible and ready for RSI. Now, if I have prepared also with the thought that if we did have a failed RSI, and I've got my bag mask ready, I've got drugs ready, IV rollout, so things are ready if we went straight from that to having to do a crike. Obviously the ICP will have the crike kit, but things are ready for that. Also, if the patient, my ICP needs my help for even with the intubation with the bougie, I'm ready in there to help him assist that. So that's it. Thanks.